Danny's World's newest update has added a lot to the game with a new Toon and its Twisted variant. A new Little Twisted with a unique floor, a sticker mechanic for easier communication, a new machine type and floor event, a new map place from Sprout, and multiple optimizations and skins. Altogether, this makes an amazing update and was most likely to be the best one yet. Starting with the new Toon Brusha, she is a common Toon with 4-star skill check, 3-star movement speed, 3-star stamina, 2-star stealth, and 3-star extraction speed. Being pretty simple stat-wise, and while it's technically the same as Louis, they still play very different roles due to their abilities. Brusha's ability is a toggle with 5 seconds to injure. When used, she starts painting, causing her to be slower, but gains a ring similar to Palbat that boosts the skill check of Toons inside the circle, so you're able to go up to Toons on machines and speed them up by standing near them. This seems like a parallel to Tisha, which makes sense as they have a history and the most amount of interactions ever with the whole 4 of them when no one else has more than 2. They both use circles for their ability to boost a stat. Tisha gives a speed boost to nearby tunes, while Brusha boosts extraction, giving them both semi-support roles with their builds. As Brusher, you are able to protect the players you're standing next to unless it's a Brightney or a Shrimpo because of a 2-star stealth. So any 3-star stealth or higher tunes won't get seen before you, and if it's a 2-star stealth tune, then it's based on distance, so you can still protect them by standing next to them. This allows them to continue working on the machine while you may take Twisteds away, which isn't too bad with her basic movement speed and stamina. Of course, you can't distract amazingly with her, but you are able to save people and then get the Twisteds off you somewhere else. I think Brusha is genuinely a very fun tune to use, since she has good extraction with her higher skill check, and you're able to provide a support, which I also enjoy doing. I also like using her stealth to save people like I did with the Shelly when she was being chased. While her boost may not be as powerful as Shelly since she has to be standing with you and the boost may not be as large, she's still quite a fun tune to play, and it can help with speeding up machines when there's no more left to do. If all machines are currently taken, you can use your boost to help someone do the machine faster and get the floor done quicker as a whole. Also, of course, she's as good as Shelly. She's a common after all, being pretty cheap and accurate and leading 25% research on her Twisted, which isn't that hard to obtain. Her being a common allows players to maybe learn stealth to some degree while using her ability, while not having too high of a risk since her movement speed is overall pretty good. Before moving on to her Twisted, I also want to discuss trinkets that are good for her. I would say the best trinket for her is Magnifying Glass since she will be focusing on extracting. Then the other trinket you should use is either Participation Award for even better extracting or Pink Bow to boost her run speed since she isn't particularly fast either and has her low stealth. It also allows you to save to other tunes easier. Then going down into Ribbonspoon and Clownhorn, while you can find good use, just using one on her since she is a base movement speed isn't always gonna be the best decision to make. Then, down again, Speedy Shoes can be used for sure, but it's just gonna be better to use Pink Bow since that gives you more run speed and the walk speed isn't all that useful to her. Paint Buckets tend to make skill checks slightly more likely to appear, and then Train Whistle can just help in general, but with her, you could save people from easier, and since you were doing machines, it helps with too. I'll get into my opinion on both of these new trinkets later. Bad trick is I want to point out, she's a fast extractor, no need to really be using VMO on her. You don't need more than 2, maybe 3 people VMO in a run, so don't use it on her when someone could make better use of it instead. Also, Diary is still gonna make you listen to your stars, so no point using it on her. Brusha is pretty simple when it comes to trinkets, since she is a pretty simple tune to understand. So let's move on to the newly added Twisted to come along with her. Twisted Brusha is a common Twisted, so getting your research for her is pretty simple, and being a common, her mechanic is also quite simple. She has much better sight than the average Twisted may. Technically, Louis has better sight too, but it's a lot more noticeable with Brusha. This isn't anything special, and I do wish she was like an uncommon, because she does feel like one. A record work too, but I feel like uncommon is my fitting. Although, I really just wish she was more unique, since she's a paintbrush, maybe just like with the leaks, like how Bright's special ability has to do with blackouts, but I'm not really sure what that would be. Then, once you complete a research, you get the new Paint Bucket trigger, which increases both skill check size and chance by 5%. This isn't like an amazing trinket, but it's still better to use Participation Award for skill check chance, and if you skill check size, then use Thinking Up. Although, it's usually better to just get good with skill checks higher than 1 star, honestly. I do think it does have some use early game, since it is a common trinket, so there is definitely a lot worth, and it still is a helpful trinket if you put it on, even if it's just better. Not a bad addition though, it could be a lot worse, since a lot of trinkets tend to be pretty underwhelming, honestly. Let's move on from the new playable tune to the new non-playable tune, Dial. He replaced the UGC room with his shop, leaving just a small empty room to the side similar to the event shop room next to Dandy, though I don't think it could really be used for anything. Dial's thing is that he sells cosmetics, well then he sells things that actually affect gameplay with him keeping tunes and trinkets, but Dial now sells costumes alongside UGC and the newly added stickers. You can also buy game passes at either of their stores for whatever reason. Alongside Dial's shop, you can now gossip with him and Dandy to get dialogue relating to a specific tune. There being one for each, not including themselves, only the other shopkeeper. So Dandy can talk about Dial, and Dial can talk about Dandy. I really like these because it gives them both good characterization in a much simpler way. Danny needed it. There was a lot easier for people to mischaracterize him as a one-note villain before this. And while Dial doesn't have that, it just gives us character as well, since unlike Dandy, he doesn't show up in the elevated selector player, so what is his deal anyways? He's in the main character like Dandy, he doesn't even show up in anything at all, so why did he suddenly appear with no signs of his existence ever? Well, I believe his role to be different from the others, being made for the role of Toon handlers, specifically Arthur and Delilah, working with them in a sense. Not to make him seem like a villain, since he doesn't exactly seem to know the darker sides of what they're doing. Besides, in his gossip about Roger, he says not being allowed to talk to him at all, most likely because Roger's a detective, and will get secrets out of him that he's not supposed to know. There's also more to this theory going into his twisted variant, so let's start with that. Twisted Dial can be found by choosing his special card when it shows up as a voting option, which not only has him on the floor, but puts you on his unique floor, basically being the equivalent of a boss for this game. And you get a special reward for completing it being 50 stamina. On Dial's floor, you always have to complete 25 machines, and there will be 3 common twisteds accompanying him. No higher rarity twisteds will spawn, but there will always be 3 random common on the floor with him. Twisted Dial's mechanic is that he starts off pretty slow, but has a bar that fills up as he chases you, so his speed is up at certain intervals, so you have to get him off you. If his bar fills all the way up, it prevents you from running, so it's basically impossible to get away from him, and to do little, you die instantly. If he stops chasing someone, the bar will slowly go down so you can be when his bar is like nearly full. However, to keep him balanced, the Tenjus rate is practically non-existent, and with the tons of twists and turns around this map, you can rely on getting him off you before he gets too fast. It also helps that he's a bar above him, you can see when he's nearby just behind a wall, so he can't sneak up on you as much. Also, if you make any noise, air horning, Pebbles bark, or messing up a skill check, he will not only always hear it, but his bar will go to full instantly, so he runs to it at full speed. If you mess up, you need to just run and hide before you can make his way to you. This floor is meant to be a challenge, making you rely on being careful of where the twists are instead of just relying on a distractor. I mean, Dial literally can't be distracted unless you have like a bunch of boxes of chocolates, and that's a huge point of his existence. The bone trigger even got nerfed to prevent him from just being distracted. It is a very fun floor, and honestly, not too bad to survive. You just have to be extra stealthy, which makes me nervous personally. The only change I want to this floor is maybe scaling, because doing 25 machines in a solo run is painful. Make it like 15 or maybe 18 if there's only one player, and go from there. 25 can be a base for most too, and if there's a team of like 7 or 8, maybe make it higher, because that's less of a challenge for a team of that size. This Twisted also has a lot going for my theory. Not only is it a unique floor just for him, but it's very rundown and decrepit in a way that other floors are not. During Panic, there's also a garage that opens up, showing a message where Dial asks about being in the show to not really get a real answer. The map also has a larger train focus, since Dial is the one who operates them currently, and is the only one to have ever left Garden View, as stated by his twisted description. I genuinely really like the role he has in the story so far, and as we get more, I'm excited to see what Quello's planning to do with him. Finally, let's discuss his trinket, that being the train whistle, which prevents you from getting the slowness effect. This isn't going to do a lot against most twists, as only 3 could give you slowness, being V, Finn, and Roger, but one of those is actually pretty strong. On Roger, it doesn't do a whole lot since you only get slowness when opening his capsule, so you can easily just not open it in the first place. The only thing that will help is Grievers, because you can open it and run away much easier. Not that I'm encouraging you to do, that it's just the only real thing it can help with. Then with Finn, it prevents you from being slowed when completing a mission, so if you are an extractor toon, then you could use it if you don't have much better to use. It's going to be really good with V though. You can not only use it if you like to save people, since you only have to deal with the ad and her very manageable chase speed, but it also helps with distracting since you can put it with dog flesh to keep your good walk speed and not have to deal with the slowness. I can see Longmont having a pebble with train whistle if not multiple using it, just because it makes V barely a threat to distract, since her chase speed is under Pebble's base walk speed of 20, which isn't even counting using dog flesh on top of it. This also makes V and Astra nowhere near as dangerous together, because you don't need to use tons of stamina if you're not being slowed at all. Pippa will still be a threat, but if you're skilled, him and V as a combo is definitely less threatening. Train Whistle at first it seems super good, but it can be pretty good backup trigger on extractors or faster tunes if you like to save people, and is amazing for distracting the further floors where mines will be a lot more common. We're past the new tunes added with this update, so let's go on to the other newly added features, starting with stickers, which you can purchase from Dial. You do start with some free ones as simple messages, but if you buy any, you can get more messages as well as actual stickers that show up with it that I really like. And since the wiki has the blank versions, you can also make whatever you want with them. I have fun with the stickers because they're stickers, but it is very helpful for people who take longer to chat. I can see it very being good with distracting since you usually can't type at all during that, so it's a way to communicate and chat without having to stop distracting at all. I also think it's good for mobile and console players since the chat on those are a lot more annoying and block a good part of your screen, so you get simple messages much quicker and with less danger from twisteds coming out of nowhere. This can of course also help on laptop, but I personally don't find saying simple messages to be all that bad, so I prefer just using the stickers because I like the actual stickers. The sticker designs are also very cute. Both artists did a great job at working on them, and it's a very good addition to the game. I do have a couple changes I'd make. For one, make it show up just on people's screen, not just above your head, because it will then be more useful for using when there are people not looking at chat, especially on mobile and console. Also, let us save setups like what triggers, because depending on how you're planning on playing, you may want to use different stickers, and it's annoying to have to change it all the time. Other than those, it's pretty good, and I'm glad it's here. Some floor mechanics were also added with the new machine type and floor event. The new machine is a circle-based skill check instead that I'm personally not as good at and need more practice with it, but I do like its addition and makes the game feel less repetitive mixing in both machines, and like it's not really that bad outside of one skill check anyway, so it was just a good thing to add. Not really a ton to say about it. Then there was a new floor event added, that being the leak event alongside a new card as a voting option to lower the chances of it appearing. The event is pretty simple. Around the floor, there will be puddles of ichor that block your pathway, slowing you down if you walk in it, as well as giving you the new illness effect that lowers your skill check by quite a bit. This isn't super game changing, but it definitely can cause problems since ichor puddles can block a major path, and you keep the illness effect for quite a while after walking through one. It works like a floor event should, honestly. It makes things more challenging to a degree, and can cause you problems if you don't act with care, but it also isn't incredibly game changing and it can be handled very well. I've also only seen it stack with a blackout once, but it was brightly caused, so that may only be able to happen if she's on the floor, which is pretty cool if that's intentional. Also, just like blackouts, there are some teams that are less affected by leaks, those being Blot, Flutter, and Connie. Kinda. They're all immune to getting the illness effect, but they still get slowed. But I believe that's a bug because Flutter and Connie literally float over the puddles, so they wouldn't get slowed. And then Blot is made of ink, so it makes sense they wouldn't be slowed either. And doing that will make Blot and Flutter more balanced as distractors. They don't have 2-star health or 5-star movement speed of Pebble, who also has his bark, so neither of those two are the best distracting choices. But if they don't get slowed by the ichor puddles, then you have an advantage the others don't. They won't have to worry about ichor puddles because they don't have to worry about ichor puddles blocking their path when distracting at all, which or maybe still may not make them as good as the others. It at least makes them not feel as weak compared to the others. Another thing added was a new floor with the theme being Sprout, this being the fourth main Toon map, and the only one that's supposed to spawn on floor 11 onward instead of floor 16 onwards. This is also the second ever map with a semi-outdoor section, with the first being the Easter floor. Obviously it's not actually outside, but there's grass, and light seeps through the elevator while you're waiting to open. This map can be split into 3 sections, the 2 sections with the 2 elevators and the middle. The first section is a picnic area with one of the elevators that has some pretty large rocks and bushes that work as islands, and then on one of the paths leading to the middle there is some picnic benches while the other has a wall that you can use as well to help get towards its out of view. This area is pretty small and doesn't have a ton of machines, so you won't be spending as much time in this one compared to the other 2 areas. The middle area is kind of like a diner with tables, chairs, and counters to eat at, because Sprout's a baker, so naturally there's gonna be places to eat on his themed floor. There also is some Sprout pledges around, being a whole corner filled with them, and there's even a couple arcade games like Invia's floor, but these are all the Sprout and Cosmo arcade game instead of a bunch of different arcade games. This is a good central area with easy ways to get to its off view, and many different ways that lead to both of the other sections of the map pretty easily. The machines here are also not too bad, even if they're more out in the open. It doesn't feel annoying, just more of a risk. There's also a new poster on the wall, this area for a Sprout and Cosmo episode of the show. Then, the final section is the kitchen area where the other elevator is, having a couple islands with walls and shelves that block the sight of Twisted. In the corner without the elevator, there are small shelves and counters where corner machines are. There's also another lore room here with the TV animation and Sims style as V's on her floor and Dandy's on one of the studio floors. However, this one is definitely less groundbreaking since it just shows Sprout and Cosmo together, and then the oven sets on fire while his Toon handler grabs the fire extinguisher and they set out the fire. This just shows more of the relationship between the main Toons and their Toon handlers, which is neat, and it seems like they'll be more relevant as time goes on with Dial, this alongside of V's lore room and the studio floors being added. Overall, I do like this floor quite a bit, both visually and I think it's pretty fun to play on. I think it's just made pretty well and the machines are placed well. I think it's just a good addition to the game and a floor I enjoy playing on when it shows up. The final change with this update is the new optimizations and skins added. Sandy, Sprout, Cosmo, Poppy, and Boxten all got new animations alongside their twisted to make them just look cleaner, and also help the game run better overall. Danny's animations are pretty fun with him now pulling a tape out in his idol, and his twisted networm now smiles when chasing you, which adds to his personality. Sprout's animations look nice and are very similar to Louis. I love very funny grams. And then his idol has him look at part of him and Cosmo's friendship reset. Then his sister's got new sounds, and I do miss scream when he's higher, but the sounds are nice. And animation-wise, it just makes him being more aware, more obvious with him not wanting to attack you, shown on his face while chasing you. Cosmo also has some nice animations with his part of the friendship bracelet being in his idol animation, and his twisted is similar to Sprout with it being shown to be more aware while chasing you. Poppy's twisted is similar too, which is fully new since that wasn't shown clear at all before this update, unlike Sprout and Cosmo. And again, her base animations are nice, just making her more bouncy and animated overall. Same thing with Boxten, although his twisted is actually now smiling when chasing you, showing a more vicious twisted compared to the others. Then, alongside optimizations, there are also a bunch of new skins added, bringing a total of 7. To go along with the optimizations, Sprout, Cosmo, and Boxten all got one, while Poppy actually got 2. Brusha also got one with her release, and then Yatta got another new skin. Sprout's new skin is very cute, being chocolate themed, and it even has a star, kinda like me, whoa. Then Cosmo's a strawberry theme, making him look nice and gives him little strawberry ears. Moxon's looks nice with it being a purple pinkish color that I do like, even if I think I still prefer his other costume more. Poppy's are both very nice, with one making her pastel blue color with the red outfit that I really like. And while I don't like the other one as much, it also looks nice with it turning pink and giving her a black outfit instead. Then Brushes gives her pajamas and some nice colors that I like a lot. And then Yatta's is pink with the accents being based on ice cream cones to give her a food theme to fit into the update better. There's a ton of new additions in this update that make the game better overall, and there isn't really anything to hate about this update, so combining the just sheer amount of new good things with some big changes like Dial's addition to the game makes what might just be the best update yet in Dandy's world.